When I made the video about my desktop nitrocellulose cannon, which launches a fireball for a large visual effect, I saw a lot of you ask about designs that can fire solid projectiles as well. I used to be involved in amateur rocketry, and at that time realized that an engine casing could be made from a roll of paper with no glue between the sheets. Friction between each layer provides more than enough strength to contain the combustion pressure of the fuel, so long as the paper is prevented from unspooling on the outside layer. In this video, I'll be trying this same concept to make a barrel for a cannon. It'll be interesting to see how this works. I'll begin with a 1x50 foot roll of paper that was about $3 at a local art supply store. The bore of the cannon will be 3/4 inch, so I also have a length of dowel of 3/4 inch diameter to spool the paper around. It takes careful effort to spool the paper tightly, while at the same time keeping the edges from angling off center. A piece of tape is all I need to prevent unraveling. This should be plenty of wall thickness to resist internal pressure. I'm a little concerned that the paper on the inside may tear with repeated shots, but it should at least make a sturdy enough barrel to fire a few times. So next I need to make a plug for the back side of the cannon. I'll do this by cutting strips from a regular sheet of printer paper. It took more strips than I expected to roll into a 3/4 inch diameter, but it wasn't difficult to achieve a good fit. Holding this plug in place will be a bigger challenge. It needs to be attached to more than just the inside layer of paper. I'll start by mixing some slow cure epoxy in a plastic cup. This is a bar top epoxy that should remain liquid for a few hours, so I'll have plenty of time to work. I'll first drip a spoonful down the barrel so it seals around the plug from the inside. Now the entire backside of the tube is submerged into the remainder of the epoxy. The liquid will slowly work its way between the layers over the course of about 20 minutes. This will effectively cause the end plug to become one solid piece. Before the epoxy has a chance to fully set, the barrel is removed and the excess wiped away. I'll place it in another empty cup while I wait for it to cure. Besides drilling a fuse hole, the barrel is now completed, and it cost me only about $4. Without knowing how well the barrel will fire, I decided it would still be worthwhile to make a fairly high quality stand, because I can always try mounting a different barrel to it later. A pair of side rails will keep the barrel from shifting off center, and most importantly, a strong backing block is glued in place to absorb recoil. I glued yet another block behind that, just to be sure it was strong enough. These iron caster wheels came from a local hardware store for about $5 each, and I think they have the perfect look for my cannon. To attach them, I'll first glue this wooden block, which has a hole drilled through the center, to the bottom of my cannon sled. I'll also glue a length of board behind the wheel mount to act as a tailstock. Through this whole process, I've made quite a mess with my glue, so I spent some time sanding off my mistakes before applying stain and a clear coat. Now the wheels can finally be installed using a section. 1 teaspoon of this muzzle loading powder should be plenty to start with. The fuse is then inserted and some paper towel pressed down as wadding before inserting the bearing. One last layer of wadding is pressed in after, and the cannon is ready to fire. That was a miss, but it seemed to work well otherwise. Let's see how the barrel survived. As I feared, it looks like the interior got torn up by gasketing between the sheets, despite the exterior being plenty strong to increase durability. In the meantime, I at least brought a backup, and the sled design allows barrels to be exchanged quickly. Looking forward to for quite a while. Since they first started sponsoring my videos over a year ago, the flashlight I've found myself using the most is their tiny TI3, which runs on a single AAA battery. It's easy to leave in my pocket and impresses everyone I show it to with how bright I can see right away. It's got a solid clicky switch on the back to cycle through the 3 brightness settings and a strobe. All of the lights I've used from ThruNite so far have been waterproof, and the TI5 is no exception there. It stood up to my tests. Of course, it's also blindingly bright. If you'd like to check out the TI5 for yourself, you can do so through the link